Hi everyone, welcome to teatalks. I'm Doruk Ercan, I'm a digital marketing professional. I and Meriç are the co-founders of teatalks, and we are representing some videos about the hot topics in the world with the contribution of the reputable guests. And you can subscribe us after the video. And today we are going to make a discussion about the pandemic with Peter. Hi Peter, welcome to teatalks.
It's nice to be
If you
here.
want, we can start with your introduction, then continue with the questions.
Sure. So let me introduce myself. I work in brand strategy. I work globally. I'm a brand strategy consultant. I was born in South Africa. I worked for many, many years in the advertising agency industry. I joined McCann Erickson in South Africa. They sent me to Hong Kong. I worked in Hong Kong for a couple of years. And then I came to Greece and I worked here for about 6 years. Obviously, I'm of Greek origin with a name like Economides. And then I went to Mexico and I ran McCann Erickson in Mexico. And then I went to New York, where I was an executive vice president worldwide for McCann Erickson. I was responsible for the Coca-Cola advertising account worldwide. I was also worldwide director of client services. And then I joined a very famous advertising agency called TBWA, based in New York. One of the founders, the W in TBWA is the T in TBWA, what am I talking about? Is a Greek guy called Bill Tragos. And I worked at TBWA for quite a few years. I was lucky enough to be involved in the relaunch of Apple computers back in 1997, when Steve Jobs went back to Apple. That was interesting. And then I made a decision to come back to Greece because I love Greece very much. And I came back to Greece and I started my own strategy consultancy here. So I'm based in Greece, but working around the world.
I see.
So that's me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool story, actually.
Yeah, I specialize in change, right? Change is really what fascinates me, okay?
I see.
So as you can imagine, this pandemic, the sudden eruption of change, for me, is really interesting stuff.
It's a distraction. Yeah, you're right. And if you want, we can start with our questions. The first one we can start with. And there's a disruption, as you said. And which sectors of the economy are likely to recover the fastest, or which is the slowest?
Yeah, that's a difficult question to answer because we know how things are changing, but it's very difficult to predict what the final result of the change is going to be. But I really believe that if you want to look at the future, it really is very valuable to look at what's happening today. Because every single consumer on this planet is living life in a different way. And I think that if we are very sensitive to how consumers are living today, we might get some ideas about how they will live tomorrow. Okay. Industries that will recover fast. Obviously, there are some industries that are suffering very deeply right now. For example, the entire restaurant industry, the entertainment industry, the gasoline industry. I haven't filled up my car for a couple of weeks now. So there are obviously industries that will make quite a rapid comeback, right? Yeah. But I think the kind of comeback they're going to make is going to be a little different. For example, I'm now getting used to the idea of social distancing. So when I go to a restaurant, maybe in a couple of months' time, will I perhaps want more distance between myself and the other people inside the restaurant? Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm going to be a lot more sensitive about a whole bunch of things. So it's difficult to predict which industries will make the fastest comeback. But I think it's safe to say that the industries that are suffering most right now are the ones that will make the most rapid comeback. Okay. I also think we're going to see a tremendous increase in technology. For obvious reasons, we're all using far more technology these days. But it's an interesting question. I think it's not so easy to provide such a clear answer.
I see. That's a good answer, actually. And I'm going to continue with the next one. Do the environmental benefits resulting of this global slowdown hint at the positive impacts of this change?
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that's another very interesting question, because it's quite amazing how the environment has improved since people have been in lockdown. I saw a photograph the other day showing dolphins swimming in a canal in Venice, which was quite amazing. I was talking to a friend of mine in Istanbul.
Same in Istanbul. In the morning, they saw dolphins in the sea, in the Bosphorus.
Yes. This friend of mine in Istanbul was telling me how beautiful the Bosphorus is these days.
Yeah.
The color of the... So I think there are a couple of interesting issues here. But I think the bigger issue, we've suddenly realized how fragile the planet is, okay? Because this virus has really become a threat for the entire planet. And I think it's very easy for us now to understand how small we are and how big nature is.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to force us to reevaluate our relationship with nature. And I think that's going to stretch into all sorts of issues relating to the environment. So I feel that we've probably learned some big lessons about ourselves as human beings through this crisis that we're living through right now. I expect there'll be greater environmental awareness. And not just on a planetary level. We become suddenly more aware of health. So I'd imagine that healthy eating is something that will increase. Well-being, that's something that will increase. And I think those are all very positive things. It's like a shock attack. Yeah. And I think that we'll probably come out of this being more sensitive to what's good for us and good for the planet.
Yeah, I see. And also it's about discovering yourself. It's parallel with well-being. And we now, I think, know that we were living so fast, and now we know that that would be stopped, and it is stopped now. And we are discovering something different, and we haven't noticed that before, actually.
You might have seen the post I had on LinkedIn where I spoke about time. I spoke about the fact that we live in a world where we've got everything, except for time. Time to connect, time to reflect, time to just be ourselves, time to discover who we are. Well, I think during the past few weeks, we've already had this increased sense of time, right? Time to really reflect on who we are, where we're going. Time to spend perhaps more with people that we really love, that we want to be with. Because we've got this time now, which we never had. So I think it's interesting. I think there'll be a lot more planetary awareness, but also a lot more self-awareness coming out of this.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks for your answer, by the way. And the question, the third one, is about economics again. Will there be recovery in economics? Actually, it's another question, but will the recovery, if you think like that, will the recovery of the economics be shaped like the we or you or maybe an L? What do you think about it?
Naruk, I'm an optimist. Right? So I'll forget about it. By the way, I'll tell you why I'm an optimist. If you're in strategy, you must be optimistic, because strategy is about going from A to B.
Yes.
If you're not optimistic, you can't see B. B doesn't exist.
Yeah, you're right. And if you are in the A like that, and if you are a pessimist, you cannot move anywhere.
You can't move away from it.
That's
where you're stuck. I expect that it's going to be somewhere between a V and a U. That's my expectation. It could be an L. In other words, this could be a disaster for humanity. I don't think so. I think that we're more creative as human beings than that. I believe that as long as we rediscover ourselves, which goes back to the other question that we just spoke about, right? There's greater sense of planetary awareness, there's greater sense of self-awareness, right? the development perhaps of new models, new ways of doing things, right? That makes me feel optimistic that we'll be somewhere between a V and a U. By the way, my optimism, I think, is well-based. There are some smart people on this planet who will figure out what's going on, and they will adapt their businesses to the new reality, okay, by meeting new, evolving consumer needs. And I really do believe in the power of creativity, and I really do believe that there are enough smart people on this planet to take us at least into a stretched V.
We.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so also.
I don't think so.
And also, many people are talking about this change is bringing the digital currencies to us. It's inevitable, they are saying that. What do you think about the future of the money and this digital currency usage?
Yeah, that's another very big issue. Before answering that specific issue, there's another thought that I want to share with you, that we've suddenly realized the value of essential employees in the economy. Okay. I've suddenly realized the value of the guy at the filling station who's there to fill up my car with gasoline. I suddenly realized the value of a guy working inside a supermarket. I suddenly realized the value of a guy working at a bread factory, making bread every day. These are essential workers. It goes way beyond doctors and nurses. And I think that if you think about it, the people who are at home right now are thinking about their future are the knowledge workers. The essential workers are very busy right now. Very, very busy. It's almost as though the economic triangle has reversed itself, right? It's almost as though the hierarchy has reversed. So I think that it's interesting that all of a sudden we're looking at essential workers as truly being essential, okay? On to the issue of currency. I think that if digital currencies are going to take root, real root, now's the time. Now's the time when it's going to happen. Because I think we're also realizing the fragility of a commodity-based economy, okay? I was talking earlier to somebody inside the shipping industry. He was talking about the issues which oil tankers have got today, okay? So I think that a lot of what's happening today, digitalization, globalization comes along with that. We suddenly are far more connected all of a sudden. And I think all of this leads me to believe that digital currencies, if they're going to take root, are going to take root now. Yeah. I think it's very ripe for that.
Oh, I see. And also it reminds me the movie Interstellar. There was dialogue like it was saying, we don't need engineers, we need farmers. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was like that.
Very right. He's very right. I mean, think of today, the world we're living in right now. We don't need fashion designers.
Yeah, we don't.
In the world we're living in today, right now.
No.
But we definitely need people working in factories making bread.
Yes, you're right.
And preparing clean, fresh water for us to drink. We definitely need that.
yeah. We actually, and also we need pajamas, many pajamas and any dress and any clothing that we can wear and at home, So I think the disruption is beginning with the luxury industry in anything, in the clothing industry maybe, and also luxury restaurants. They are now empty. There isn't. They are not working actually in the right words. So you are right.
But that's also interesting, Doruk, because when we finally get out the other side of this, you might find pent-up demand, right, for all this stuff that we've been missing, like fashion, like luxury. Which is why in the first question that you asked about which industries would recover first, it's difficult to predict. I think it depends on what lessons we learn through this whole pandemic.
And also, what do you think about the digital transformation at the work environment?
Yeah, that's really interesting. You know something? When I was living in New York, working for TBWA, we had our office in New York had 600 people working there, but there were 180 workplaces. Everybody else was encouraged to work away from the office. And at the time, it was a crazy experiment. That was back in 1996, by the way, right? Mm-hmm. I was talking to somebody the other day in a bank, and he said to me, they've learned that they can run their bank with 5,500 people working at home. So my big question is, tomorrow, now that we've learned how to work remotely, will we go back to the office that quickly? Probably not. I think that this pandemic will open the way for really good digital transformation that really works for people. Okay, that's my sense, is that this will be an accelerator. If you just imagine how many older people who've never used web banking in their life are now being forced to use the internet to do their banking, they're learning new habits. They're learning new habits.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it's going to accelerate.
Even my mom, she learned everything. She learned Zoom, Hangouts, Facebook Messengers, because it's a must now.
Absolutely.
It became a must.
Absolutely. So I think it's going to accelerate digital transformation. So if we just summarize, just imagine a world with accelerated digital transformation, greater self-awareness and environmental awareness, right? Mm-hmm. And a true universal digital currency. It's not a bad world.
Yeah, you're right.
Not a bad world. But that's up to us together as people to make that happen. But it's possible. It's possible.
You're right. Well, Peter, thank you very much for your contribution, for your participation. That was a pleasure to talk with you, and nice to meet you.
Nice.
I hope we can make another interview after pandemics.
Very happy to do that, Duru.
Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Would you like to say anything while closing?
I think that we've said just about everything. Just one thing I want to say. Great strategy is always built on deep market insight. Yesterday's insight is not necessarily valid today. We need to generate new insight. Insight goes way beyond information. Information is what you read in the headlines. Insight is much deeper than that. We need to generate insight about what's happening in the world so we can develop strategies to take us into the future.
Okay. Thank you very much again. And thanks for your thoughts for the importance of the insights. As a marketer, I appreciate these words actually.
It's a pleasure, Duru. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.